Listen. How's everybody doing?
Doing well. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening.
Yes, good afternoon for me, and yeah, good day to everybody. Nice to meet you again.
Yeah,
Anybody got like tried to get into P5 or processing in the meantime? Any struggles? Or were we waiting for this session? Either way is good. I will take it from scratch again, from zero, but with P5 this time. Yeah, we'll start in a minute to give a chance for everybody to join. Or let me know if some people are missing. You know better than me how many people are supposed to show up. But yeah, doing good here. Had a lovely weekend. Beautiful weekly stream yesterday, weekly creative coding challenge. Lots of fun, yeah. All right. Well, are we complete already? Should I start? We have a lot to see, so I'd rather get started sooner than later, but I'm happy to wait if some more people need time to join.
It's hard to say. Usually the turnouts are pretty, I'd say about 20 people typically. I don't know about today.
So... Okay. Well, thanks for the info. There's usually a few more, but just start. Okay, yeah, let's do that then. Yeah, hi. If you haven't seen me last week, this is the second session on creative coding. Last week we covered processing, which is the OG creative coding environment, and yeah, you can go back up the chat for a document with a lot of info on how to get started, specifically made for beginners. But today we're going to see something different, which is sort of the sister project of processing called p5js. And as the name suggests, p5js is JavaScript. So it doesn't really matter for you to know, what JavaScript is, because P5 sort of, in the same way that processing is kind of making it easy for you to write code in another language called Java that is not exactly related to JavaScript actually, but yeah, it takes all the guesswork out of using Java. Similarly, p5js makes it very simple for artists and designers, and, or let's say as simple as possible to get into JavaScript. You don't have to learn all the things, like JavaScript is a very large and complex thing to learn, but p5js isn't. And you can start in very same way to how we started last week with processing, with just one or two lines of code in P5. You can already see things happen. The key difference between P5JS, and you see I'm going to send you the link to the website, though it's kind of simple. It's p5js.org. The key difference between processing, which, by the way, did they already have the new website last Monday? I'm not sure it was launched officially. So yeah, new website for processing. So as you can see here, p5js is part of the things that the Processing Foundation is doing, but it's different in the sense that it runs in a browser. But I'll get back to this in a moment. And before that, I wanted to show you, because the main topic of the day is interactive NFTs on Hic-et-Nunc. I wanted to show you some examples. So what we're going to do is, first 15 minutes, I'm going to show you a few examples of interactive NFTs that I think are showing the range of possibilities on Hikednung. Then we'll do an introduction to p5js for half an hour. Then I'll speak specifically about what you can do and how you can make interactive objects on Hikednung. And then we'll have a little bit of time for questions and open end. I can stay a bit longer than an hour and a half. If you have time after that, we can hang out and I can answer any number of questions that you have. So no worries, but feel free also to write questions on the spot. Don't forget about the question because you're waiting for the end. That's not necessary. So I'll be monitoring the chat. I have it on another screen, and so I'll read your questions if you have any in the course of this lecture. So yeah, let's get started with a few examples. I think it's a nice mise en bouche, as we say where I come from. So yes, a few examples of interactive NFTs, starting with this piece by Leander Herzog, which has this very nice particularity that it adapts wonderfully to being shown in full screen. So here you can see how it looks by default with the square format that Hikednung is giving you. And it doesn't look that much different to something you could do with a video. You could make a video that shows this and just play it in a loop and it would look pretty similar. What you cannot do with a video is this. So now I made it full screen and it adapts, stretches, and adapts its content to the format. That's something that is only doable with code-based NFT. A video is, well, you can make it bigger, but it's not going to stretch or change aspect ratio. So yeah, this is an example it's interactive. Technically, you can click on it and it changes colors. That's the most barest possible definition of interaction. But I really like this one. It messes with your vision. It's great. So kind of move on to the next one. This is slightly different. It's very similar to the previous one. It's by Saskia Precker, who's been doing daily animations with processing for what, it's been like 6 years. Every day she does one, and she made a few for Hikednung a while ago. And what is another possibility of, it doesn't want to, press R on this one. So the one other possibility of interactive NFTs is that you're not stuck to one single pattern or composition. You can change it. So here I'm pressing I'm pressing R. That's not something from Hikednung. That's just something that Saskia decided to build into her piece. And so if I press R, you see that the composition is going to change slightly. It could change a lot more than this, but she decided that this would be the range of variations that you can get from her piece in this particular case. So yeah, that's another possibility. You can have, so as I said, you can adapt, change shapes, aspect ratio. It can also change patterns based on user input. Another possibility, and this is a piece of mine, and this might be a bit tricky to show you that. Though, wait, no, I have a way to show it. So here you can see that I'm synced with my wallet. And I see the piece and it looks like this. It also works full screen. And if I was to unsync my wallet and load this piece again, it looks different. It has a different color palette. And this is because this is, well, yeah, no, I'm not going to do that. But this is because I'm using a variable that is provided by Hikednung that lets you, that gives you the wallet ID of the person viewing the work if they are synced. So you can make a work look a certain way when people are not synced and a different way when they are synced. And more importantly, you can also make it look different for each person that is looking at it. One thing that I haven't tried before, but that would be super fun, is to make an Easter egg that only appears for one person, like one specific person. You put their wallet ID in there, and if they look at it, it pranks them. So you could totally do that, and that would only work for that specific person. So yeah, that's another possibility. And then we get into things that are a little more advanced. Here we have a piece by Gallo, which is going to take a while to load, but it is interactive, like properly interactive. So if you don't do anything, it doesn't do anything. And it only comes to life when you click and drag your mouse over this canvas. So here you see nothing. And if I start moving my mouse by clicking on the canvas, we have a kind of fluid simulation. But it's also, yeah, also low resolution and dithered with a very, very nice style. I love this piece. And I wish I had one. So yeah, beautiful one. Wait, maybe I do. I'm logged out. No, I don't. Ah, so sad. So yeah, I'm going to stop this. Otherwise, I'm going to spend the whole day on it. And you can go further than this. This is a piece by Tomb, which is using what's called a cellular automaton, which is a type of very simple life simulation. Let's put it like this. But yeah, it's artificial life. No, that would be the headline. So wow. NFT artist creates artificial life in the browser. So yeah, it's it's cellular automata. It's something that is somewhat advanced, but actually there are tutorials to do this kind of stuff, and you can make some really interesting things with cellular automata. Maybe some of you have heard of the Game of Life, Conway's Game of Life, which is a type of cellular automata, automata, which was invented by the mathematician John Conway, I believe. Anyway, so yeah, this is a self-proclaimed broken automaton, and the Tomb has a few of them on her page. So yeah, I'm a big fan of those, and yeah, they are. Once again, if you see this little pictogram here in the corner of the piece, it means it's an HTML NFT. Doesn't mean it's necessarily interactive or generative, but it means it's displayed in real time in the browser and not a pre-recorded GIF or video or an image, a pre-rendered image. It's not pre-rendered, basically. So yeah, here we have these. And yeah, you see this could be a GIF, but it wouldn't just grow over time. And this doesn't repeat. It just keeps going, and it doesn't loop. It just keeps going forever, and it's always going to have slight variations. You could keep this window open for 1,000 years, and it's unlikely that it would go back to a state that it was in before. Not exactly. Right. So
hey, I have a question.
Yeah. Yeah, please.
The randomization, like if I want to make a random for different like account holder or Tesos account. So does it need to like look at the complete like Tesos account, or can it be just a part of that whole account
I mean, it
or
can
code?
for sure, but why would you want to do that specifically? Like you want to take a part of the wallet and match that?
Yeah, because then like multiple people could have like that, just one part of that.
Yeah, I mean, there would be easier way to do this. Even if you took a small part of the wallet address, it would still be. Yeah, I think it's not the most elegant way to do this. You could make like 10 variations and say, pick a random one for depending on the wallet ID, and that would work to do the thing that you want to do. So it doesn't have to be an infinite amount of permutations. It can just be a limited amount, but you would just pick one based on their wallet ID, if that makes sense.
Yeah, thanks.
Can they change the code? So Negak is asking, can they change the code if it's real time, and Hen will show the change? So I've been wanting to do this, and I can show you. So the piece I was showing before, all my interactive pieces except one, I think, except the first one, are showing their own code, and that's something that I coded inside in the piece. It's not part of Hiketnunk. Yeah, I'm using a library called Prism that does the syntax highlighting, so it shows colors on the code and all of this. So this is nothing that Hiketnunk is doing. And my first idea was to make it editable. And it would be possible. It would, it was just a little more advanced than what I was comfortable with at the moment, and I knew how to code. But yeah, anything you can make as a website, and there will be a caveat to that. Caveat to that later. But anything you can make as a website, you are able to make as an NFT on Hic-et-Nunc. You just can't request data from any other old website and use it. Like, if you've heard of APIs, if you haven't, it's fine. But yeah, you can't just go look up something on Twitter and display that, because it doesn't have access to Twitter. It has access to a very limited range of things. But anything you can build inside of the NFT is fine. It's going to work. So you can add your images in the in the file. You can add any kind of data file that you want, any kind of anything, any data source, asset. Anything you would do if you're building a website as a self-contained thing is going to work on Hic-et-Nunc as something you can render in a web browser. So, an HTML file, some JavaScript, some images, some videos, some clickable things. The possibilities are endless, truly. So you could do that too. Yeah, it's got HTML, so you can do anything you can do with HTML, and anything you can do with JavaScript. Almost. There's a limit of 80 megabytes on Hic-et-Nunc. It used to be 40, now it's 80. And you have to package all of your assets and everything into 80 megabytes, but that's still a lot of data. So you can do a lot. Is it 100 now? Oh, okay. Wow, it keeps growing. So yeah, awesome. 100 is the line. Okay, yeah. Well, see, I'm learning stuff from you now. So it's hard to keep track. Things keep evolving so fast. So yeah, which is part of the fun, isn't it? Okay, so this one, I hope it's not going to break anything, or I don't know if it's going to work. But this one is audio reactive, so you have access to the microphone. I don't think. Oh yeah, wait. No, maybe not. So this, I'm not sure. Is it my voice? Maybe it's the music. I don't know. Anyway, this one is from Leah, and it's audio reactive. So you have access to the microphone, and you can make things based on audio input from the microphone. You have access to the camera as well. I don't have one here. You can upload images. The user can upload images. Can you share the URL to that link page? Yeah, sure. I can do that. Let me make it viewable. Copy. All right. So yeah, this one. I'll share the link to this as well. Oop. Remove embeds. Okay. So yeah, you have access to the microphone. You have access to the camera. We'll get into this later. I'm not going to show you these, but I'm going to show you where you can find the info on how to make those. Because there's a lot. So, and then I just wanted to show you two examples of things that are a little, out there when it comes to interactive things or generative pieces. This one is from Huey or Hugh Messy, and it's made with stitches. So all or most of the work of Hugh Messy is done with kind of frame by frame animation. So I have to click to get this done. And now it's stitching the plane. So all of this has been just photographs, but he's just playing it as a GIF or like a GIF, playing those. And I don't know if it's gonna work. Is it gonna work? We'll get back to it. And this one is one of the most out there. It doesn't look like it because it looks like your traditional classic generative art stuff. And I got tricked. I saw it when it was still on sale on Primary, and I was like, well, it looks nice, but it's nothing special. And I forgot to read the description. And what's going on here is actually this this piece is reading the description of the object, and the description of the object is the code. And so it's running this. This is definitely non-standard. We're not going to talk about how to do this, and you're probably never going to use that. But just so you know, Hiketnung gives a lot of freedom for someone who knows how to code to be as experimental as you want to be, and this is fantastic. I think this still hasn't been fully explored. There's a lot of there are a lot of cool experiments on Hiketnung, but there's a lot more that can be done, and a lot of room for anybody with the skills to go and explore, or for yourself to learn those skills and then go and explore. Just don't try this, as your first project. It's a little too advanced, I think, if you have never coded. I wouldn't even attempt it. I just think it's really cool. And this is from Yazid, who has done a lot of those experimental things, like really, really interesting experimental work on Hiketnung. He has a series as well where, and I'm speaking for more than 15 minutes, so I'm gonna have to switch. But yeah, he has a series where you can buy colors, and then based on the colors that you own, this piece or the other black and white pieces are gonna be colored by the colors that you've purchased as NFTs. It's mind-blowing stuff. So yeah, that's it. Just a little overview. Let's just see. No, the plane is not loading. All right. But yeah, Hugh Massey is doing really cool stuff with generative art mixed with traditional, analog medium, and that's also something to think about, because I know a lot of you are more, using traditional media, not digital media, and it doesn't have to be either or. You can combine those, and I would love to see more of that happening on Hiketnung and in general. So yeah. And just one more word about this. I think, as for all of you who are, painting or illustrating or doing photography and all of this, you have an edge. Even if you think like, oh, but I've never coded, you have an edge because there are still very few people who have the skills to do both. So even if you learn just a little bit of coding, you'll be able to bring all of your, the superpower that you have from knowing other media and bring this to code. And the combination of the two is where it gets really interesting, in my opinion. Even though I love, classic generative art that is just pure code and shapes, but yeah, there's more to do, and I'll be very curious to see what you come up with in the future. So yeah, that was it for some examples. Moving on now to introduction to P5. Do we have questions? Do we have questions so far? Anything? Nope. Okay, let's move on then. All right. So this is the p5js editor, and if you have if you have the ability to display more than one window, you might also want to go there and play along. So I'm going to start from scratch, and there you have the link. I'm going to start from scratch. This is what a p5js sketch looks like, which is very similar to what a processing sketch looks like, with some key differences. Namely, if you remember last week, this was saying void, and now this is saying function. This was saying size, and now this is saying create canvas. And that's basically it. So we still have our setup loop. Our setup function and our draw function, which is a loop. So just as a reminder, this runs once, and this runs again and again and again, as fast as your browser can display and your screen can display new pixels. So usually 60 frames per second, but it could be more, could be less. But typically it's going to be 60 times per second. All right, so if I press play here, and if you remember the P5, the processing editor, I'm getting mixed up. If you remember the processing editor, this is going to be familiar. It looks very similar. So if I press play, boom, I have an empty canvas appearing. It's actually called a canvas. It's an HTML object called a canvas. And p5js relies mostly on the Canvas API. Don't worry about it. on Canvas to display shapes. It also has the ability to display 3D through something called Webgl. And yeah, if you've heard of OpenGL, maybe in games, if you're playing 3D games, you might have heard of DirectX and OpenGL and things like that. Maybe you don't know what it is, but WebGL is the web graphics library. So it's some way to use 3D on the web, and that's pretty cool. So yeah, now I'm showing something, but yeah, like I'm showing a canvas, but it's empty. There's nothing to see there. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger because I want you to see what's going on. So we can do this, press play again, or there's a shortcut for this. Or, I could also go to Sketch Run, but here you can see the shortcut, which is Alt Enter, or no, Control Enter, sorry. So if I press Control and Enter, or Command and Enter on the Mac, it reloads my canvas. Okay, I can actually afford to make it a little bit bigger. Let's try 800 by 800 and Control Enter or Command Enter on the Mac to reload. So yeah, now it's bigger and you should be able to see that well. You know what? 900 by 900. You know what I could do actually? I could make it as big as it will fit. That would be nice. So if I do window width and window height, boom, it's as big as it gets. That's great. So yeah, that's good. That's good. I like that. Am I? That's weird. Wait, let's run again. Okay, perfect. Okay, so click. All right. So let's make something simple. I'll draw. Well, last time we did 2D stuff. Maybe I can do 3D stuff. That's going to be complicated. Let's stick to 2D for now. So circle. You remember this? So what do I need to put in there? Any idea? I can do this all day. So
the
starts with
location
a P.
or
The location, yeah. So that wasn't the word I was looking for, but it's fine. That's true. So the parameters for the circle function are, like you said, the location, first of all, and then the diameter of the circle. So the location could be anything like 30 and 100, and the size, let's say 50. And now we have this here. I can make it further to the right, like let's say 200. Actually, something that I like to do from time to time is to use variables for the size, especially if the size is going to change. And that's, as I mentioned, if you want to do something that works full screen, you might have the size changing. So especially, yeah, on Hikatun here as well. Like, see, if I change the size here, the canvas stays the same size. So if I run it, it takes all the space available, but it stays that size, and that's not what we want, probably, especially at least if we want to make it resize. And well, conveniently, P5 has a function called Resize Canvas, which is called whenever the user changes the size of the window. So wait, is it Resize window or Resize canvas? I'm getting confused now. P5 resize. So remember window resized. My bad. So yeah, I get like about half of the neurons busy with talking to you, and so there's only half left for actually coding. So yeah, window resized, which makes more sense than what I was saying. So whenever the window is resized, there's that triggers an event that called this function window resized, and you can do whatever you want. resized. So yeah, you can do anything you want whenever the window is resized. I could say print, or no, actually, we're on the browser, so it should be console.log. P5 has a print function. I would advise against using it for one simple reason, which is that if you use it, which here I could actually use it. So let's say I say print window resize. Window was just resized. So this is going to be fine. If I resize the window, boop, see in the console here, I see that it tells me the window was resized. Right? And I could even do window was resized to, and put the dimension. So let's not do that. It's not going to bring much more interesting stuff, but you could do that. The problem with this is if ever you do, if you were to write print only and not print with content, if you forget to write the parameter in there and you press this, this function does something very different. It tries to print the page. So I could cancel that. Or I could try to cancel that. But I actually managed to mess it up. So it still thinks I'm trying to resize, and I can't cancel because the mouse is still in the in the state where it's trying to resize, and so it keeps trying to print, which is why I'm gonna first of all reload this sketch. All right, and yeah, that also shows me something important. It didn't save my sketch, and it didn't save it because I'm not logged in, so I don't have the ability to save it. To log in, you can create an account. You can use Google, you can use GitHub. I'm using GitHub, but it's just because I have the account, and it's what I use for. That's the thing that's related to code in my mind, so it works. But yeah, if you want to use a Google account or use your email, it works too. I definitely recommend, if you're going to use P5 at all, to create an account, or decide which account you want to use with the editor, so you remember to log in, and once you're logged in, you will be able to save your sketch. So here I have to rewrite this: window width, window height. How are we doing on time? Kind of speed running this, but yeah, there's too much to cover anyway, and even if we had the whole afternoon. So this is more of a tour, and I'll give you resources where you can go and learn more. But yeah, this is to show you it's easy to get in. It scales to very complex, but it starts easy. So yeah, window resized. So I would not use print. I made that mistake once, never again. I made that mistake in the middle of a stream on Twitch, and I lost my whole sketch. It was a lot of fun. So all right. So what was I saying? Yeah, instead of that, you can do console log. That's the JavaScript way to print to the console. One of the ways, I should say, but that's good enough. Console log, and window was resized. And it's going to do the exact same thing, except if I forget to write the parameter, it's not going to try to print the page. So yeah, right. But that's not what I want, actually. I don't want to print something when the window is resized. I just wanted to show you that the event exists. What I want to do is I want to resize the canvas. And there is a Resize Canvas function. I just mixed it up with window resized. So it's Resize Canvas. And I can use the same parameters that we used here, because they're going to have a different value since the window was just resized when we get inside of that function. So run, and now you see it's, well, you can't really you can't really notice. It just looks like, oh well, yeah, this thing is great, but now it's actually adapting its size to the window, and we can try something. So I'm going to comment this out just to show you the difference once again. So now it's not going to resize. Okay, I'll put it back in a second, but I want to show you something. So circle function has 3 parameters, position. So instead of a fixed position like we did just now, so let's say I do this. So instead of this, which is a fixed position, yeah, see, it stays the same. I want to make it width divided by 2. Width is a built-in variable from p5 that is going to be whatever value we pass to create canvas, or the size of the canvas. So the width of the canvas, and height divided by 2. What is this going to do in your opinion? In your now educated opinion?
It's going
Any
to stay
idea?
in the middle.
Yes, exactly. It's going to center it vertically and horizontally. So this is cool. But now it's going to really be cool if we do the resize canvas, because now no matter what the size is, it still stays in the middle. See? So that's nice. And one other thing we can do is use variables for this. So if you remember in processing, since we were using Java, we had these floats and integers and all of that. None of that in JavaScript, none of that in p5js. You create variables by using either the keyword var, or in modern JavaScript, the keyword let, which is admittedly confusing, but apparently that's the standard these days, so I'm going to use it. But yeah, just know var is valid as well, but it's just apparently the old way to do it. I don't really know what the difference is. I use let because I've been told off. So let x, that's going to be our horizontal position, width divided by 2. Let y, height divided by 2. And let, we're going to say d for diameter equals, for now, 50. So if you remember what I was saying last week, when we change the code a lot, like I just did, you want to start by changing it while not changing the behavior of the code. So now I changed the code, but it's still going to do the same. It's doing the same thing that it did before. Oh, actually, it's not. Oh, look, I made a mistake. I wrote x and x, so it's wrong. So yeah, it's changing with the width instead of changing with the height. So it's going to be y. There you go. So now it stays centered, and if I was to also resize it vertically, now it's going to stay conveniently in the middle. Okay, one more thing. The diameter is not changing. So if we wanted to have something that where our content, the content of our NFT scales with the size of the window, which is something that is desirable many times, most of the times, I would say. One thing we could do is to scale it, for example, based on the height, say. So we would say height times, and if we wanted it to be maybe 80% of the height of the window, I would say 0.8. So this is going to multiply it by 0.8, which means 80% of the original value is going to be the new value, which is d, diameter. We use it for the circle, and the circle is going to be 80% of the height. So it's not going to change when we change the horizontal value, but it is going to change when we change the vertical value. And you could play with, you could play with both values and do something, like, I don't know, maybe I could do like width times 0.8 plus height times 0.8, and all of this divided by 2, and do like an average of both. I'm not even sure how interesting that would be, but yeah, now it kind of scales based on both, but yeah, it's not great. I think maybe there's yeah, from here the canvas stops scaling down. I don't know. I'm not sure. No, that doesn't make sense. So yeah, it's not the best way to do it. But for, let's say, for Hiketnung, the vertical height is kind of more meaningful because yeah, it's gonna scale up and down based on whether you're full screen or not. So yeah, this would work. You can play with this. It's fine. All right. So yeah, we have this. It's scaling. Now we could also make it interactive by using the mouse clicked function. Is it, or mouse is clicked? Mouse clicked. I think it's mouse clicked. Or mouse was clicked. We're gonna check the reference. Yeah, I was saying, if you remember last time with processing, we could right click on something and see the reference. We don't have this this option here in the P5 editor. That's unfortunate, but it's we can still. Yeah, I saved. So let me rename this so I remember what it is. 2021-08, and we're the 16s. Vertical crypto P5 101. Okay. So yeah, I was saying here you have to go to the reference by yourself. You can access it from where is it? Help reference here. So it is still fairly convenient. You just don't have this extra convenience of right clicking a keyword and getting straight to its page. But if I wanted to know what window or what create canvas does, I could go paste it in there, and then here create canvas, and I have the description on everything. It tells me what the parameters are. If there's a range, it will tell me what range it is. Yeah, that's very nice. Okay. So, do we have any questions so far? That's I'm going pretty quick through this. So, yeah, just let me know.
I
have another
question.
5 minutes or so for this intro. Yeah.
So, what's the window resize like mandatory to put in order to upload it to?
It's not.
Okay.
It's not. You could use a fixed size. That would work fine.
I remember seeing something in the documentation that it needs to be added, but maybe it was something else.
Yeah, I think that was the case for once. I would say in any case, no matter what you do, when you mint an interactive piece on Hiketnung, especially if you've made, if it's the first time you're doing it, or if you made a new sketch that is trying some other thing, I would say first do a test mint on the secondary wallet. Like have a test wallet just for testing. Put a few Tezos on the secondary wallet. Make sure it does have a few Tezos, because you might not realize if you're trying to mint and it says, like, it sends you weird errors, and actually it's just because you don't have enough Tez. And yeah, just mint it once on this secondary wallet. That's the advantage of Tezos, that the minting costs are fairly low, so you can afford to mint just for trying it out. So yeah, that's what I would say. Just try it out and see what happens. I think this may have changed, because I noticed recently that it was automatically scaling for mobile in ways that it wasn't before, but I haven't investigated it deeply, so I don't want to say something that's untrue. But I get the sense that it's a little smarter about scaling than it used to be. Yeah, just try it out. That's the best way to know for sure.
All right.
Yeah. You can also, so if you don't want it to be, like scaling, stretching like this, you can also use another trick, and I'm going to show you this in a second. I have a template for that. So yeah, that was it for like just the very, very basics of p5js. I will send you also some references where to learn more. But just know that the best way, the best place probably to learn about it, besides the getting started page on p5js, which is really giving you the very, very basics, and the learn page, which has a lot of tutorials. So those are the two first places you want to go. And then, well, it's gonna sound like a broken record, but coding train is the best place to learn P5. Daniel Schiffman has like truckloads of video tutorials on everything, from drawing simple shapes to using machine learning and artificial intelligence, and it's a fantastic resource. Use it, is all I'm gonna say. So, and he's a great teacher as well. So yeah. All right. So now let's see what we can do that is specific to Hiketnung. I made for this a few templates that you're going to find on GitHub. And the easiest way, if you're not familiar with Git and GitHub, don't worry about it. It's not you don't need to for now. What you can do is go to code and download zip, and it's going to download the zip file somewhere. So yeah, download, and then you can uncompress this file, extract file to this, and here you will see the files. So you will not be able to mint directly from the editor. That's one thing I should mention. So you will not be able to mint this directly from the editor. It's great to work and prototype and try things out and build your templates and things like that. But here you see you have files, and you would have to you don't even have a way. Yeah, no, you would have to download your sketch and then mint that. So actually, I should do that. I should make templates there. That would be a little easier. But for now, you can download those, and you will want to open them in a code editor. I would recommend VS Code, Visual Studio Code, which you can find here. Visual Studio Code. It's open source. It's made by Microsoft, but it's open source. There's a lot of other ones. If you don't want to use a Microsoft tool, that's fine. There are tons of open source options out there that are also free software, and everything. But yeah, I'm gonna open my basic template. The resize function is mentioned here. Yeah, I know it is. I know it is, and they say you need to put it in there. I'm just not 100% sure that it's still true. That's what I meant to say. But yeah, I mean it's better to put it in there. But I will show you a way that you can make it while still retaining your aspect ratio, and especially if you want it to be square. That will be useful. So yeah, I trust the authors because that's me. And oops. And here we have our basic template for Hiketnung. And you see that it contains, can I zoom in? Yeah. So this folder has index HTML that is linking to the minified version of the p5js library. You don't really need to know about this, but just so that it's a bit lighter. Anything you can do to make it lighter, even though it supports up to 100 megabytes, I feel like it's nice to keep things light because IPFS is still a bit slow, and yeah, sometimes It takes a while to load. So yeah, keep your assets to minimum size, and everything as small as possible is always a good idea. Also, it's good because it saves bandwidth and electricity, and it's helpful for people who don't have high-speed internet. You know, it has only advantages besides the extra work for you. Okay, so yeah, the sketch, which is the same thing we were seeing in the editor. This is the sketch.js file, and style.css is the style sheet that is defining how the HTML is displayed. You don't have to worry too much about this. You probably won't need to edit it unless you're trying to do something a bit advanced. So in the basic template, I'm gonna put it over there. Oh, it's too big. It doesn't want to scale. Okay. No, or is it not? Let's zoom in a bit. Okay, so this template is based on the default P5 template, the one that that Walt was just sharing. So copy paste. Let me see. Okay, so yeah, there's a default P5 template on the Hicketnunk repository, and I also made my own repository of templates which are specific to P5. So in the HTML templates, you wait, why do I have it twice? In the there. So the Hicketnunk templates include not only p5js but also shaders and 3js, which is the 3D template, something to do augmented reality or VR, a template to use audio, template to yeah, whatever. There's quite a few, and here I'm focusing solely on p5js and getting into a little more detail of what can be done. And those are the templates I was showing there. I just downloaded, and I encourage you to download as well. And here we have opened the basic template, and in the basic template, that's the one that's the closest to the original P5. Yes?
Yeah. How does that downloading from GitHub work? Because do you have to be like logged into GitHub to order to be able to download?
No, you don't. You just go, or maybe you need to be logged in. Let me check.
I never found.
No, you can just go to code and download zip here. So see the green button that says code, you click on it, you click on download zip, and it will download a zip file, compressed file on your computer. You can unzip that, uncompress it with your favorite tool. If you're on a Mac, it's built in. You right click and uncompress, and on Windows, you right click and go to no, actually, yeah, on Windows, I don't remember. You might need to have a unzipper. Well, that's a bit besides the focus of this. You can figure it out later. It's fine if you don't follow directly on this. You can just look and.
I mean, if I'm now on the Hicketnunk p5js template, and it doesn't have the code button.
Okay. Yeah, but you don't need to download this one because it's very similar to the basic template I'm showing you, and the basic template has a few things additional to it, so it's going to be the same.
Cool.
So yes. Okay, so first of all, in this template we have a few little things that are just some optimizations, not really necessary. This you can turn to true when you're minting. It deactivates the friendly errors that P5 gives you. Here you can have a custom title for the window, but it doesn't appear on Hicketnunk, so it doesn't really matter. It's more for kind of future proofing it. The preload function is whenever you want to load an image, we'll see it in another template. For now, there's nothing in it. Or when you want to load assets, images, audio 3D objects. All of this goes into preload, so it's loaded before the page finishes loading. Then we have our create canvas. You're familiar with this now. And here we have some things that happened when we press some keys. I think it's C and R. Yeah, R and C, just as an example. And at the bottom, we have the built-in variables that are passed by Hicketnunk that are creator and viewer. And I just noticed today that actually I think that Hicketnunk is also passing the object number, which is great news. It may not be obvious why right now, but that's how you can do the tricks like what I was showing before, where this object was checking its own description. It's actually not doing it this way, but it would be easier to do it this way. So yeah, you can get the number here, the number of the object, also in a similar fashion. I will update the templates when I check that it's actually that. So yeah, the creator variable here is going to be the wallet of your wallet for your object, and your wallet ID, and the viewer is the wallet ID of the person looking at the piece right now, and that's what you can use to make something custom for one person, or something different for each person. All right, so that's the basic template. Everything else is pretty similar. Here I'm gonna let me run it. Okay. Yeah, so this one is just a circle going up and down. Nothing too special. One thing you should know is when you want to mint this. So you will have your folder with so your index, sketch, style, CSS. The favicon is not necessary, but it's just because Chrome throws an error in the console when you don't have one, and I didn't want to have it there. It's really not necessary, but yeah, it's nitpicking of the highest level. And then in there you have the P5 library and the license for P5. It's often required by open source software that the license be included, and so I make sure to include it when I use a library, any library. Libraries, if you don't know, are sort of code written by other people that you can use in your code, and that is what p5js is. It's a bunch of code written by someone else, so that you don't have to. Okay. So if I wanted to mint this now, what I could do is I could zip it and then put it online on Hicketnunk. But there's one more thing that we need to do. And if I go in the index HTML, you will be able to see what it is. Here we have something called a OG image. That's an open graph image. That's the image that is used to create thumbnails, like what you see here. When I put the link, the Hick link to the object, it shows me the image of the object that was included. And sometimes it can even be an animated GIF. So if you're making something animated, it can be interesting to export a GIF out of it, or make a screen recording and convert this into a GIF. And here it says thumbnail.png, but it could be thumbnail.gif. And then I will need to have this image in there as well. I would have to put it somewhere here. So if I look at NFTs that I have minted in the past, you will see that in the folder, well, I have a lot of other things because I have more scripts that I use, but I also have this thumbnail.gif, and it's a short GIF of the piece itself that is going to be used as a thumbnail. You You may notice or you may know that if you've used Hikednung, that now there is, when you mint, there is a field that is there specifically. And I'm not going to be able to show it because I'm unsynced. Okay, I log in. I will log in. All right. So you know that there is already a cover image field. Okay, so it just takes me a little bit of time to log back in. Bad idea to unsync before to show you. Okay, connect. Click, click. All right. So yeah, if I want to mint, if I upload an object, let's say, I won't go to the end of it, but just to show you, if I was to try to re-upload the same object I did before, if you upload a zip file, it will ask you to upload a cover image. And so then I would go and click on my GIF. And if I go like test, edition of 1, royalties 25, preview, then it shows me this animated GIF as a cover. Well, no, it's not a cover. This is actually running the sketch. So, but yeah, the GIF would be the cover. This is not the GIF. This is the actual sketch running. And yeah, here you can see if it's running correctly. There's a bug. It doesn't do this in the final one, but if you put it in full screen, it's offset. Yeah, there's a bug in the style sheet probably. For the preview, because when you do it on the real thing, it doesn't. So don't be alarmed if you're doing the preview and you put it full screen and it's out of whack. It actually will look fine in the, well, not everything. If some things are out of whack, that's wrong. But if it's off to the like yeah, up on the top of the screen, that's a known issue. Okay, so let's go back to our template. Yeah, so we probably want to still add these things even though we have the cover image, is just what I meant to tell you. So these are not included in the templates because it doesn't make sense, because you have to make one for yourself. All right. There's a bunch of other things that will be useful for you to know, and they are on this page. I can't cover it all, but you have some info about interactive objects here, and it tells you about the folder structure, the cover image, the fact that you need to include everything. I said that. Also, some things you have access to, like the camera, the microphone, but also if you're on a phone, the accelerometer and gyroscope. That means the motion sensors of the phone, so you can do things based on the orientation of the phone, which is nice. And XR spatial tracking, which is for augmented reality and VR and things like that. And also, you have access to some domains outside of Hikednung, like everything related to Tezos and IPFS and stuff like that, but also Google fonts if you want to use other fonts than what people might have on their machine. You have access to Wikidata, which I've tried and is very complex. So if you're not familiar with this, I wouldn't advise trying it unless you really, really want to. And yeah, and Hikednung itself, plus Hikdex, which I really want to try because it's the indexer of Hikednung, and I think it gives you some interesting information about objects that are on Hikednung. All right. So yeah, do we have any questions regarding interactive objects and minting interactive objects? I have a few more things to show you, the other templates, but so far I went a little faster now, so that's why I'm pausing to let you breathe and see if anybody is is confused or wants to know something.
I have a question about the do you have an opinion like why the interactive objects are not supported in more NFT platforms?
Because it's hard.
Yeah.
Because it's hard and they don't and they can't be bothered. That's my opinion. I might be wrong. There might be some more like deeper reasons, but yeah, Hinex doesn't support it. Object.bid doesn't, or object.com doesn't support it. The thing is, it's kind of tricky. So the objects are inside of a zip file. So you have to look into it, then inject it into an iframe, then give the iframe the variables. The way that they are passed is a little a little bit of a hack as well. So all of this is a lot of extra work for apparently for the developers of those platforms. But I know that Versum, which is another Tezos platform made by some ex-developers of Hic-et-Nunc, is going to support them because they were the ones making the original templates. So they know what they're talking about. They implemented the interactive NFTs on Hic-et-Nunc. So at least one other platform is going to support them. But Hinext, and at least I asked the developer of Hinext, and I think they were saying like, we plan to add it, but we can't tell you a date. And Object.com, I didn't ask Octu, but I don't know. I don't know if they're planning to do it. I think the bottom of it is it's a bit of a hack, and they don't want to. Yeah, they can't be bothered.
But it's not like bound to Tezos in any way, so it could be possible also for either.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's you can do it. There's no reason. Hey Andre, sorry you have to leave. Yeah. Well, the recording will be there. So yeah, what else? What else? So yeah, any other questions? Otherwise, I will get onto the other templates that show you some other things, other cool things you can do. No questions? All right. So where did I put this? Templates. All right. So in the other templates, you have one thing I wanted to show you, which is the responsive template. Which lets you do some cool things. So it's very similar to what I was showing you on in the editor, except it's keeping the square aspect ratio. It just tries to fill the space available, and also it has a variable that I called window scale, which is a value that goes from 0 to 1, I think, or it depends. But it's you can use it to multiply any value, and it will make it responsive to the size of the window. But everything is explained in the comments of the template. So here you can see the values here. Canvas size and window scale are changing. Oh yeah, so window scale goes from 0 to 1, and then if it's over the reference size, it goes above 1. But I use it to change the size of the stroke for the circle and the diameter of the circle, and that's why it scales harmoniously with the square. There's also another variable that is has max size. So if I say it does, then the reference size would be the maximum size. I'm going to save, and now now it stays this size no matter what. But if it's smaller, then it scales down. And it's centered, which doesn't have to be. I can make this false. And now it's going to be, there's a bug. There is a bug. Interesting. I'll have to fix that. Yeah, it only gets correct when you scale, when you change the size of the window, which is which is not good. All right. Yeah, so that's the responsive one. And then you have the user data template, which oh, what did I do? Oh, I'll open it again. User data. Open. I've restricted mode. No, don't trust. Yes. Okay. Open live server. So yeah, this one is an example of what you can do with the viewer variable, so the wallet ID of the viewer. And here in this case, I have, so here we are simulating no user synced, so a user that is, or what am I saying? No. Yeah, no, this is what happens when you're not on Hiketnung. So yeah, it's the viewer variable is false, but I could fake it. I could fake a viewer by using the dummy value, which is created here, and it's my wallet ID. So if I save it now, it's going to look the same every time I reload. So I have this purple snake thing, and if I reload, I have the same purple snake. But yeah, if I had an unsynced viewer, I could simulate that here. Viewer data equal unsynced. And if I save now, I see that the seed that is generated from the wallet ID normally is actually a random seed. And here it's going to look slightly different every time. So this one is blue too. The next one is, yeah, purple. Right. And so I don't want to get into too many details in there because it gets a little advanced, but the basic thing you need to know is that we get a value that is called seed. Here, viewer seed, that I use to initialize the randomness and the noise value for the sketch. So normally when you use random values in a sketch, it's going to be different every time you run the sketch. But if we initialize the random seed with a known value, and that value is always the same, then the random values you're going to draw are always the same as well. It's a little bit as if you were drawing a dice for a million times, and you wrote all the values in a book. And then you said, okay, I want the random values in this book. I want the random values from page 55. But those are technically random values, but they're always going to be the same if you start at page 55. And that's what a seed is. It tells you where in the randomness book you want to start. Because randomness on a computer is never truly random. And it's actually, yeah, they're actually sort of what we call pseudo random values. So yeah, we can force randomness to do what we want. So it looks random, but it's actually always the same random. Does that make sense? I hope it does. So that's why we're using the seed for. And the seed is a number here. I can see it here. Is a number that is generated from the wallet ID, because the wallet contains numbers and letters, and I'm not sure. Maybe technically you could even use that as a seed, but yeah, I just wanted to generate the seed that you could display, and is not the wallet ID. So that's what we have. And yeah, again, technically, it is possible for two users to have the same seed, because the seed is shorter than the wallet ID. So there's always going to be mathematically the possibility that two of them are similar, are the same. But in practice, it's going to be very rare. Just don't rely on it to be like, absolutely 100% sure that it's always going to be a unique value for each person, because it might be the same value for two people. And if it's critical that it's not, then you're going to have a problem. But yeah, those are little details, little nitpicks Okay.
I have a question, Raphael.
Yeah, please.
The thing I'm like, when if I buy an NFT like this, then the pattern is generated according to my wallet address, right?
Yes, exactly.
So, but another people who checks that NFT will see the pattern generated according to their wallet address, not mine. They are not going to see the my version, right?
Exactly. Yeah,
Okay.
that's perfectly right. So it's different from what you would do, for example, for the way it works on art blocks, where it's each edition when you buy an edition from an object, it gets minted with a seed, and that seed will follow the object for the rest of its life. So the edition is going to have the same pattern, even if you sell it to someone else. So here, it's not even the seed of the wallet of the owner of an edition, which I don't even really know how that would be doable, but that would be interesting. But yeah, actually, you could potentially do that. I'll look into this. But yeah, that's why I was excited about having the object ID passed to the object, because that means you could query who owns it and then start to do some really like art block style stuff on there. But I'm not sure you could do it per edition, because it's not really a thing that each edition can be viewed separately. But yeah, we could start to think about something like that. But yeah, so you're right. The model is that each person who looks at it is seeing in this version, in this template, each person who looks at it is seeing a different thing, and it doesn't matter who owns it or how many have sold or whatever. It's just based on the person who opens it in their browser, and that's the way it's going to look.
Thank you. One thing I'm wondering also, so if I make a new contract and I make a builder NFT, like where you can change the parameters through sliders, then with the contract, I can pass that parameters to NFT and mint it like that. So is it possible to do something like this with my special contract?
Are you talking about making, like, designing smart contracts that are not the smart contracts from Hicketnung? Or you're talking about making an NFT?
Yeah,
what do you mean by the word contract?
Yeah, like Tezos contract, Tezos smart contract.
Okay, so we're getting into smart contract territory. So I know very little about smart contract authoring, and this is if you know about that, then big respect, because it sounds like this super advanced thing. But yeah, I mean, if you know how to write a smart contract, then the world is open. You can do whatever you want. You could design a Tezos based art blocks and launch it. That would be cool. I think anything in that case, anything is possible, but you would have to look into the front end, how they did it on Hicketnung, or maybe how they did it on art blocks for that matter. But yeah, there's plenty of ways to do this. Some people have played, like Mario Klingemann, Hicketnung, made some objects that had some really interesting properties, like they were changing based on who was owning them. Not sure if I'm gonna be able to find it. Full disclosure, what is this one? Maybe it's his wallet, like how much money he made. I don't know. The rise and fall of the wallet of Mario Klingemann. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so it's his the amount of Tezos on his wallet. He did a bunch of conceptual pieces like that were using the data from Tezos and from Hicketnung. This one was make your own art. Okay. Doesn't seem to work anymore. Yeah, that's also one thing is, so with the templates provided, it's I think it's pretty future proof, but you can never be 100% sure that it's going to be, that everything is going to work in the future. I think that generative or interactive objects are always going to be more fragile than a GIF or a video. That's something to keep in mind. I think it's pretty solid because it's still on the HTML and JavaScript, and everything is built in. But if you start using APIs, like data from outside of Hic-et-Nunc or even data from other objects on Hic-et-Nunc, this might break in the future because you depend from something else. Yeah, that's something to keep in mind. This one, diminishing return. Oh yeah, it was a behavioral experiment. So yeah, you may take exactly one of these free NFTs. If you do that, your wallet ID will be added to the list. If you take more than one, or if you put yours for sale, you will be removed from the list. I think this one probably broke when we moved to V2 of the contract because lots of people should be on the list. But yeah, it used to show the wallet IDs of the people who owned one and hadn't put it for sale. So yeah, you can be experimental, but there's a risk that it's going to break in the future if you do that. Any other questions? We have another 10 minutes or more. If there are many questions, I'm happy to stick around. How was that so far? Is everybody stunned? I see Rose Jackson typing. So let me see. Twitter. Yeah, so there is if you're getting into P5 and interactive NFTs, there is an event. Oh, you're a bit lost. I'm sorry. That's my fault. I should have made it easier to follow. So coding train. Yeah, I think coding train is a great way to start. You go with like p5js, coding train, programming for beginners with p5js, and you start from the first one. That's probably going to be your best path forward. So yeah, he's like Dan Schiffman is an amazing teacher, and I can't recommend enough following his tutorials. I think that on the p5js website, the Getting Started page, the Get Started page is also a good place to look, just to get a sense of what P5 is. And another thing that would be interesting to listen to, which is less about the coding and more about the philosophy behind P5. I think, especially for people, like for artists, people like you who are in this residency, you might enjoy listening to this episode of the podcast Artists and Hackers, about the P5 the project P5. They interviewed the creator Lauren McCarthy and the last year's lead of the project, because they have a rolling project lead. They're very much about inclusivity, intersectional inclusivity in programming. And yeah, it's really, really cool to see what their philosophy is, and this radical inclusivity that they're practicing at P5 is super inspiring. And you don't need to know anything about coding to appreciate that story. So I would definitely recommend that you listen to that one. Yeah. Do we have other questions?
Hello, Raphaël. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but you're sounding a bit low.
Yeah. I want to learn 3JS because I am
Mhm.
working on 3D modeling. Should I first start with p5js to learn the JavaScript environment or directly dive into 3JS?
You don't have to learn p5js if you want to learn 3js. No, you can start directly with 3js if you're already familiar with JavaScript, or if you're planning to learn more about JavaScript.
I am really not familiar with JavaScript, so I was thinking maybe p5js is more basic to start learning.
Yeah, definitely. 3js is more advanced than p5js.
I learned something
Absolutely.
like Babylon.js. What do you think about it? Like
I haven't used Babylon JS. I'm not even exactly sure what it is. So web-based 3D. Okay.
I think the 3JS is the most popular one, right? For the 3D.
Yeah, 3JS is the most widespread. Babylon JS, I heard the name, but I didn't even know it was a 3D environment, which doesn't mean it's not good. You know, it might be great, but I just don't know it very well.
Do you use 3JS? Like if I stuck somewhere, can I DM you or something about 3JS? Or you are
Sorry?
do you have experience in 3JS? Like, can I ask you things in the future?
I'm really not very familiar with 3JS. I tried to do the base tutorial once, and I found it very confusing. So I don't know much about 3JS. I'm afraid I can't help you with that, but I can direct you to someone who does, and also mints on Hiketnung, which would be Phivos. Let me find his handle. Phivos Doganis. I'm probably not pronouncing that right, but yeah, he's been doing a lot of 3D based stuff on Hiketnung, so he might know. And there's also I can't remember who made the let me see. Yeah, if you check who made the template, basically the 3JS template for Hiketnung, that might also be someone that you want to contact. I lost the link again, so I don't know where it is.
Okay, thank you. Can you share the link of Fevers because I forget the name, like the handle of the Fevers.
I just put it in the chat. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much, Raphaël.
Yeah,
Thanks
sure thing. All right. Do we have maybe one last question or two short ones?
I could add one thing and about the 3GS. That's Mr. Doob, I think, if you guys were trying to find the name.
Yes. But he's the creator of 3JS, right?
Yeah, I believe so. I think his name is Ricardo Cabello.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, sure. You can always write to him, but he's quite busy, so that's why I would recommend talking to people who are in the scene and then might have some interest in answering you specifically.
I had a question for you about Versum. You had mentioned that earlier, and it was the metaverse that they're working on right now. Do you have any more insights on that project?
Well, I know that it's supposed to come out. They're aiming for a release in September, but sometime this year is probably the realistic estimate. Yeah, I know a few things. I've talked to Andre about it, so it sounds quite exciting. I'm curious to see it. He has posted some some mock-ups of what the website is going to look like, and yeah, you can look it up already. You'll see some information on Twitter. They have a Twitter account for Versum. I don't know much about the metaverse part of it though, because I mean, though I'm very I'm bullish on VR. I haven't really been super into metaverse NFTs yet. You have to choose your battles, and I'm all in on generative right now, and I'll get into the metaverse when I have time, if ever.
Cool.
But they do have a Discord channel, so you can maybe join that. I don't know if it's an open, not a channel, sorry, server. I don't know if it's an open server, but they do have one.
It's open, yeah.
Is it under
It
the
is,
studio
cool.
or is it under their general Twitter account? Because they have 2 accounts.
They have Versum Official. It's called Versum Official. Yeah. A studio and okay. Yeah, I think Versum Studio is just the company and Versum is the product. It's the same logo, which is confusing, but yeah. Yeah, that's Versum Official is probably where you get updates on the looks. Yeah, like for example here, a preview of if you wanted to make interactive headers for profile pages and suggested some way that might look like. Yeah, I think it's going to be quite nice. And it should be compatible with objects minted on Hicketnung as well. So yeah.
No worries. I'll send you a few more messages about that. I got a couple questions. You're also here in Berlin too, right?
I am in Berlin. Are you as well?
Yeah. I just moved to Prenzlauer from Kreuzberg.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I live in Wedding.
Ah, perfect. Cool.
So, yeah, hit me up.
Yeah, thank you for today. I learned a lot from you. I wasn't even coming to learn, but it was awesome.
You got tricked into learning. Yeah, cool. I'm glad to hear that. Yeah, do we have any other people who didn't have a chance to speak? Maybe you feel like you don't know enough to ask a question, but I'm telling you, it's fine. All questions are valid. So yeah, that's your last chance. But you can also reach out to me on Discord or on Twitter, and I try to answer all the questions. So far, I can still do that. So take advantage of that while it lasts, is what I'm gonna tell you. Because yeah, it's getting harder and harder, but I still can. All right. Well, Mikael, thanks so much for the invitation. That was fun.
Yes, thanks a lot. It was so fun. Obviously, the class is recorded, so if you want to go back and see it, you'll be able to do so. We'll share it soon. But yeah, thanks a lot. It was amazing. And yeah, if you have any questions, like you can also reach out in this chat, and Raf is around. So yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I am, and you can you can find all the links to my stuff on Linktree. I'm on Twitch. I will actually stream something relatively similar to what we did tonight. I think I'll go a little bit deeper because it's more for people who already know how to code. So maybe if you want a refresher, if you're not already completely stumped, you can come tonight on Twitch, and I'll cover pretty much the same material. So yeah.
Amazing.
Thanks, Rose.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. It was great. Thanks, everyone. Have a good day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
See you soon. Bye.
Thank you. Ciao, ciao.
Thank you.